My wife said I wasn't trying hard enough to find work, so I got a job serving her dinner dates with another man. I'm Ryan, and I spent the last 7 years building a career in operations at a mid-sized tech company. Not Silicon Valley money, but solid enough that my wife Linda and I could afford our townhouse in the suburbs and the occasional vacation. Then March hit, and I got the email that starts with, "As part of our restructuring initiative." You know the one. The severance was okay for about 2 months. After that, things got tight fast. I was sending out applications every day, doing interviews, following up on leads. The tech job market right now is brutal, and every posting has like 300 applicants, but Linda didn't see it that way. "You're not trying hard enough," she'd say, scrolling through her phone while I made dinner with whatever was on sale. Mark from my work got laid off and found something in 3 weeks. "The market's different now." "Excuses, Ryan." She cut me off. "That's all I'm hearing." The worst part, she started staying out later. "Drinks with coworkers," she'd say when I asked. "You wouldn't understand, you're home all day." That one stung because I was home all day applying to jobs, not watching TV like she implied. By month 4, I was getting desperate. Our savings were down to maybe 6 weeks of expenses. I needed income, any income, while I kept looking for real work. That's when I saw the posting for evening servers at Marcello's, this upscale Italian place downtown. The kind of spot where entrees start at $40. I didn't tell Linda. She would have lost her mind seeing me in a server uniform after I'd spent years in business casual. So I told her I was networking in the evenings, meeting old colleagues for drinks. She barely looked up from her phone when I said it. The work was fine. Humbling as hell, but the tips were decent, and the evening shift meant I could still apply to jobs during the day. The other servers were cool, mostly younger people working through college or between gigs. Nobody asked too many questions about the 32-year-old guy learning to balance 4 plates on his arm. I'd been there about 3 weeks when it happened. It was a Thursday night, pretty busy. I was taking drink orders at table 6 when I glanced toward the entrance and saw her. Linda, my wife, walking in with a guy I'd never seen before. My stomach dropped so hard I almost forgot what the customer at table 6 just ordered. She was wearing the black dress I bought her for our anniversary, the one she said was too nice for just dinner. Her hand was on his arm and she was laughing at something he said, not the dry laugh she gave me lately. The real one, the one I hadn't heard in months. They got seated in Marco's section, thank God, not mine. I watched from behind the bar as they settled in. The way she touched his hand across the table. The way he leaned in close to whisper something that made her blush. "Hey, you good?" Marco asked, walking past with a tray. "Yeah, just thought I recognized someone. Table 9, they're regulars, come in every couple weeks. Big tippers though, so can't complain. Regulars every couple weeks." I did the math. The nights she said she was out with coworkers. The times she came home smelling like wine and expensive cologne. The new lingerie I found in the laundry that she said was just to feel confident, but that I'd never actually seen her wear. I finished my shift on autopilot. Took orders, brought food, smiled at customers, cleared plates. Inside, my brain was screaming. When I got to my car, I just sat there in the parking lot for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. Linda was still up when I got home, watching something on Netflix. "How was networking?" she asked without looking at me. "Fine, talked to some people." "Any leads?" "Maybe, still waiting to hear back." She nodded, eyes on the screen. "Well, you need to try harder, we can't keep living like this." I went to bed. She stayed up. When she finally came to bed an hour later, she stayed on her side like she had been for months. I'm writing this at 3 a.m. because I can't sleep. I keep replaying it in my head. The way she touched his arm, the way she laughed, the way Marco said they were regulars. I'm going back to Marcello's tomorrow night, same shift. I need to know how deep this goes, but I also keep thinking about what happens after I know. Because once I confront her, there's no going back from that. Maybe I'm a coward for not saying something tonight, but I need to think. Anyone been through something like this? Should I just rip the Band-Aid off, or is it worth getting more information first? Update 1. 3 days later, sorry for not updating sooner. Had to work a double shift at my networking events, and my phone's been blowing up with people telling me to confront her immediately. I appreciate the advice, but it's not that simple when you're living it. I've worked 4 more shifts since I posted. Linda and Anthony, that's the guy's name, I asked Marco about their reservation, have been in twice more. Last night and Monday. Monday was rough. Marco was working their table again, but I got stuck with the 4 top right next to them. Close enough to hear everything, far enough that Linda never glanced my way. The uniform helps, black shirt, black apron, and Marcello's makes us wear these stupid flat caps as part of the authentic Italian aesthetic. I was just another faceless server in a busy restaurant. I was taking drink orders from my table when I heard Linda's voice carry over. "I can't wait for the Napa trip next month," she told him, twirling her wine glass. "I've always wanted to do the wine country thing properly. Napa. Next month." We were supposed to go to Napa for our 5th anniversary 2 years ago, but I had a major project at work and we postponed it. She said she understood, said we'd go eventually. I guess eventually meant with someone else. "Already got us booked at that place you wanted," Anthony said, pulling up something on his phone to show her. "The one with the vineyard view," she actually squealed. My wife, who I've known for 8 years, squealed over a hotel room with a guy who's not me. They ordered the Branzino, $85 for 2. I saw it on the order ticket Marco pinned up in the kitchen window. Meanwhile, Linda's been on my ass about unnecessary spending when I bought a $12 6-pack last week. "Split it, or should I get it?" Anthony asked when Marco brought their check. "You get it, I'll get drinks after," Linda said. Drinks after. They weren't going home to their separate apartments. They had a whole evening planned. I caught a glimpse of the receipt when Marco walked past to run the card. $234 with tip. They left around 9. I got home at midnight. Linda was already in bed. Her purse was on the kitchen counter. I'd never snooped before, never had a reason to, but screw it. I was already watching her dates myself. What's a little privacy invasion? Credit card receipts from the last 3 months. Marcello's, obviously, but also the Boathouse, Sakura, that new steakhouse on 5th. All places she'd told me she was out with the girls or a work dinner. 5 different restaurants, 8 different dates I could confirm. Probably more I didn't have receipts for. There were also receipts from a boutique hotel downtown. 4 different nights, all on weekdays when I was supposedly home all day doing nothing. I put everything back exactly how I found it. Went to the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror for probably 10 minutes. The guy looking back at me was someone I barely recognized. Thinner than 4 months ago. Dark circles under his eyes. Wearing a stained T-shirt with a hole in the collar. Is this what she sees when she looks at me? Someone not worth keeping around. But here's the thing, and I know this sounds weird. I'm not angry anymore. I was furious that first night, don't get me wrong. But after watching them together, hearing their plans, I'm just cold now. Clinical. It's like something shut off in my brain. I've been documenting everything. Screenshots of her working late, texts that match up with their reservation times. The hotel receipts. I even checked our credit card statements and found the charges she made with her separate card that she thought I wouldn't see. Tuesday, I had 3 interviews lined up for the same operations role, different companies. I nailed all 3. Not because I suddenly got better at interviewing, but because I genuinely didn't care anymore about impressing anyone. I just answered honestly, didn't oversell myself, and apparently that confidence, or whatever you want to call it, worked. That night Linda came home from happy hour with Sarah around 11. Smelled like cologne, not her perfume. His. "How was your day?" she asked, dumping her purse on the couch. "Fine. Applied to some more jobs." "You've been saying that for months, Ryan. When are you going to actually get something?" I just nodded. "Working on it." "Well, work harder. I'm exhausted from covering all our expenses." She went to take a shower, a long one. When she came out, she went straight to bed without saying good night. I stayed up on the couch, laptop open, sending follow-up emails to recruiters and thinking about how I'd gotten to this point. We met in college. She was pre-med but switched to marketing after her first year. I thought she was the smartest person I'd ever met. She thought I was funny, called me her steady rock when everything else in her life felt chaotic. We got married at 27 and it felt right. Easy. Like we just fit. I don't know when that changed. Maybe it was gradual. Maybe it was the layoff that flipped a switch. Or maybe I was just convenient until I stopped being convenient. Here's what I've decided. I'm not confronting her yet. Some of you are going to say I'm dragging this out, that I should just get it over with. But I need to be smart about this. I need to have everything lined up first. I'm waiting. And when the time's right, she'll know. But it'll be on my terms, not because I caught her and exploded. I'm done being reactive. I go back to work tomorrow night. She's got a reservation for Friday. I'll be there. And I'll watch them celebrate whatever the hell they're celebrating while I plan my exit. The thing about being invisible is that nobody sees you coming. And right now, I'm a ghost in my own life, but I'm the ghost who knows everything. More soon. Update 2. A week later, you won't believe this shit. I got the job. Not just any job, the one I thought was a long shot. Senior operations manager at a consulting firm based in Denver. 50% more than I was making before. Full relocation package. Benefits day 1, start date in 3 weeks. I had the final interview Tuesday morning. They called me back Wednesday with the offer. I signed the paperwork Thursday. Linda doesn't know. She's been at extended work conferences the last 2 nights. Both nights Anthony was also at Marcello's. I checked the reservation book on my break. She came home Friday morning, took a shower, and immediately got on my case about the dishes I'd left in the sink. "Can you at least keep the house clean if you're not working?" she said, already heading to the bedroom to change. "Sure, sorry. And we need to talk about money. I can't keep doing this alone." "I know, I'm working on it." She gave me that look, the disappointed one. The one that used to make me want to try harder but now just makes me feel nothing. Working on it isn't good enough anymore, Ryan. Then she left to run errands or see Anthony. Honestly, doesn't matter. What she doesn't know is that while she was at her conference, I met with a lawyer. A good one, the kind you find through careful research and reviews. I brought my documentation. The receipts, the hotel charges, the timeline of her working late nights that matched their dinner dates. "This is pretty clear-cut," the lawyer said, looking through the folder I'd put together. "No kids, right? No kids. That simplifies things. You want to file in Colorado or here? Here. I want this done before I leave." We spent 2 hours going over everything. Division of assets. The townhouse, which I was fine letting her keep since I didn't want anything tying me here. The cars. Bank accounts. It was weirdly therapeutic, like finally taking control of something after months of feeling powerless. Papers should be ready early next week. I also found an apartment in Denver. 1 bedroom, downtown, walking distance from the office. Signed the lease Thursday night, same day as the job. First month's rent and deposit paid from my savings. Linda thinks we have $4,000 left in our joint account. We don't. I moved my half to a new account at a different bank 2 days ago. The plan is simple. I finish my notice at Marcello's next Friday. I start packing the weekend after. Then I leave. By the time Linda realizes what's happening, I'll be gone. But there's one more thing I need to do first. Saturday night tomorrow, Linda has a reservation at Marcello's, 8 o'clock, party of 2. It's in the system as a special occasion booking, which means they're celebrating something. Anniversary, his promotion, who knows, who cares? I switched shifts with Marco so I'd be working tomorrow night. He thinks I just need the money, which isn't wrong, but there's more to it than that. I'm going to be their server. One last time, I'm going to bring them their drinks, take their orders, watch them hold hands across the table while they pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist. And then when they're relaxed and happy and thinking about whatever future they've planned together, I'm going to end it. Not with a scene. Not with yelling or throwing drinks or anything dramatic. I'm going to do it quietly, professionally. The way you deliver any other plate to any other table. Linda thinks she knows me. Thinks I'm the guy who'll keep trying to fix things, who'll keep accepting her excuses, who'll keep believing that if I just work hard enough or try hard enough or change enough, things will go back to normal. But normal died the moment I saw her walk into Marcello's holding another man's arm. And the guy she thought she married. The one who'd take this lying down, he's gone too. I've got the divorce papers in my car, signed by me, notarized yesterday. All she needs to do is sign her half, but that's not my problem anymore. The lawyer will handle it from here. I'm just delivering them in person. Then I'm going to finish my shift, go home, pack my essentials, and drive to a hotel for the night. Monday, I fly to Denver for orientation. The moving company comes Tuesday for my furniture. Wednesday, I start my new life. Update coming tomorrow after my shift. This is either going to be the most satisfying moment of my life or the worst idea I've ever had, but at this point, I honestly don't care which. Final update. I'm writing this from a hotel room in Denver. Flew out this morning. Everything I own that matters is in my car or in a storage unit back home. The rest is Linda's problem now. Saturday night went exactly how I planned, and nothing like I planned, both at once. I got to Marcello's at 5 for my shift. The divorce papers were in my car, tucked inside a manila envelope with Linda's name on the front. I'd practiced what I'd say if I said anything at all, kept it simple. These are for you. My lawyer will be in touch. The restaurant was packed. Weekend rush, every table full, kitchen backed up. Anthony and Linda's reservation was for 8. Their table was in my section. Of course it was. They walked in at 8:07. Linda was wearing a new dress, burgundy, one I'd never seen. Anthony had his hand on the small of her back, guiding her through the crowd like he owned the place. They were laughing about something, completely comfortable. Regulars, like Marco said. This was their routine. I was at the bar when I saw them get seated. My manager, Sophia, was going over the specials. Table 14 is yours, Ryan. Anniversary couple, make it good. Anniversary, Jesus Christ. I grabbed 2 menus, a wine list, and walked over. My hands were steady. My heart was racing, but my hands were steady. That surprised me. Good evening, I said, setting the menus down. Can I start you off with some drinks? Linda looked up at me. Really looked at me for the first time in a month. Her face went white. Ryan, Anthony glanced between us, confused. You know the waiter, she couldn't speak. Just stared at me like she'd seen a ghost, which I guess she had. I'll give you a minute with the menus, I said, keeping my voice level, professional. Take your time. I turned to walk away, but Linda grabbed my wrist. Ryan, what? What are you doing here? Working. I gently pulled my arm back. I'll be back to take your order in a few minutes. Working? You work here. For 3 more hours, yeah, then I'm done. Anthony was looking at me now, piecing it together. Wait, you're the husband. Linda's face went from white to red. Anthony, let me explain. Ma'am, I need to take care of my other tables, I interrupted. But I'll be back shortly. I walked away. Heard Linda hiss something at Anthony, heard chairs scrape. They were arguing in whispers, the kind of fight you have in public when you're trying not to make a scene. I served my other tables, brought drinks, took orders, made small talk. Every time I glanced at table 14, they were still there, still arguing quietly. Linda kept looking at me. Anthony looked like he wanted to leave, but Linda was gripping his hand. After about 10 minutes, I went back, set down water glasses I'd brought as an excuse. Ready to order. Ryan, please, can we just? Linda started. I pulled the manila envelope from my apron pocket and set it on the table between them. Divorce papers, I said quietly. Everything's in there. Property division, the timeline, all of it. Your signature pages are marked. My lawyer will contact you this week to finalize. Linda's mouth opened, but nothing came out. I got a new job, I continued. Denver, started the paperwork last week. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. The townhouse is yours. I moved my share of our accounts to a new bank. You'll see the withdrawal on Monday, but it's exactly half, so there's nothing to contest. You can't just, she tried. I can. I did. This is me telling you in person because I thought you deserved that much. But that's all I owe you now. Anthony was staring at the envelope like it might explode. How long have you known? Linda whispered. A month, give or take, long enough. And you've been working here all this time. Yeah, that's insane, you're insane. Maybe, doesn't change anything though. Anthony cleared his throat. Listen, man, I didn't know she was married. She said she was separated. Linda's head whipped toward him. Anthony, separated, I almost laughed. We live together, same house, same bed most nights. Did she tell you that? Anthony pushed back from the table. You said you were getting divorced. You said it was almost final. I was waiting for the right time, Linda started. Save it, Anthony said, standing up. This is too much, I'm out. He walked away, just left her sitting there. Didn't even take his jacket from the back of his chair. Linda looked at me, really looked at me. Her eyes were red. Ryan, please, I made a mistake. We can fix this. No, we can't. I was lonely. You were home all day not working and I needed someone who made me feel valued. I was home applying to jobs, 50 applications a week, but you already decided I'd failed, didn't you? Easier to start over with someone new than wait for me to figure it out. That's not fair. Fair, I shook my head. Linda, you've been cheating on me for months while I was barely holding it together after losing my job. You've been planning trips and staying in hotels while I slept in our bed alone. You made me feel like I was worthless. Tears started running down her face. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. I picked up the menus. I need to put this table back in rotation. You should probably go. She grabbed the envelope, her hands shaking. This is really happening. It already happened, Linda. This is just me making it official. She stood up, wobbly on her heels, and walked toward the exit. I watched her go, watched her push through the door into the parking lot, watched her disappear. Then I went back to work, cleared table 14, flipped it for a new party. Served drinks, brought entrees, smiled at customers. Sophia asked if I was okay. I said yeah, just a long night. I finished my shift at midnight, got in my car and drove to the hotel I'd booked near the airport, sat on the bed and just breathed. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Sunday morning, I called my lawyer to let him know the papers were delivered. He laughed. Said he'd never heard of anyone serving divorce papers while literally serving dinner. That's one for the books. Linda's been calling, texting. The messages went from angry to apologetic to desperate over the course of the day. I haven't responded. There's nothing left to say. Monday, I flew to Denver. Tuesday, my stuff arrived at my new apartment. Wednesday, I started work. The office is great. The team is solid. My boss seems like a real human being instead of a corporate robot. It's weird having coworkers who actually talk to you like a person. It's been 4 days now. I'm not going to lie and say everything is perfect. I'm not living my best life or whatever people say. I'm still processing, still angry sometimes, still sad sometimes. This morning I almost texted Linda about a funny thing I saw, then remembered we're not people who share jokes anymore, but I'm also okay. More okay than I've been in a long time. Linda called again this morning. This time I answered. I signed the papers, she said. No hello, just that. Okay. Anthony won't talk to me. He thinks I'm a liar. You are a liar. Silence on the line. Do you hate me? She asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said finally. I don't hate you, I just don't care anymore. That's worse. Yeah, probably. She hung up after that. I haven't heard from her since. Here's what I've learned, and I know you guys don't want life lessons, so I'll just say this. Getting betrayed hurts. But what hurt more than the affair, more than the lies, more than watching her plan a future with someone else, what hurt the absolute most was realizing she gave up on me the second things got hard. I lost my job. She lost faith in me. And instead of weathering it together, she decided I wasn't worth the wait. That's the part I'll carry with me. Not the anger, not the revenge, not the satisfaction of serving those divorce papers. Just the sad fact that when life got difficult, the person who promised to be my partner decided I was disposable. But at least I'm in Denver now. At least I'm working. At least I'm out. That's all I got. Thanks for following along. Time to close this chapter and start the next one. Ryan out. I 34, male, caught my wife 32, female, cheating when we both ended up at the same restaurant. She told me she was having dinner with her mom. I'm Roddy, and I still can't believe I'm typing this. I'm sitting in a motel room that smells like cigarettes and regret. This happened 2 nights ago, and I need to tell someone before I lose my mind. I've been with my wife Leela for 9 years, married for 6. I'm an ER nurse at a major hospital in Minneapolis, which means I work brutal 12-hour shifts that rotate between days and nights. The pay is decent, but the job is exhausting. You see people on the worst days of their lives, and you learn to compartmentalize fast or you don't survive. I'm talking about holding someone's hand while they take their last breath, doing chest compressions on a teenager, cleaning up more blood than most people see in a lifetime. You build walls or you break. Leela is a freelance interior designer. She's always been the creative one, the one who cares about aesthetics and experiences. Her Instagram is full of beautifully staged rooms and fancy brunches at places with names like Gather and Grace or the Copper Hen. She likes to tell people she works with high-end clients, though honestly, her income has always been pretty average. We managed fine with both our incomes, but it wasn't like we were living some luxury lifestyle. We don't have kids. Every time I brought it up over the years, she'd say she wasn't ready yet, that she needed to live more for herself first, that she wanted to establish her career better. I respected that. I thought we were on the same page, just waiting for the right time. I figured we had time. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but whose is? I worked a lot, sometimes 60-hour weeks when we were short-staffed. She complained I was never home, that I always smelled like hospital disinfectant, that I was too tired to go out on weekends. I tried to make up for it. I'd bring her coffee in bed on my days off. I'd sit through those design shows she loved even though they all looked the same to me. I thought we were building something together, even if the foundation felt a little shaky sometimes. Thursday afternoon, my attending physician, Dr. Katz, invited me out to dinner. We just finished handling this incredibly intense trauma case the week before, and he wanted to thank the team. He picked this upscale Italian place downtown. At 4 p.m. I texted Leela, "Going to dinner with Dr. Katz tonight, probably home late." She replied within minutes, "Perfect timing. Mom just called, said she misses me. I'm driving over to her place for dinner. Don't worry about me, love you." Her mom lives about 35–40 minutes out in the suburbs. It made perfect sense. I didn't think twice about it. I got to the restaurant around 7:10. Dr. Katz was running late. He texted saying he'd be there by 7:30. The hostess seated me at a table near the corner with a good view of the main dining area. It was one of those restaurants where every table has fresh flowers and the lighting is just dim enough to feel romantic. I was checking my phone, scrolling through work emails, when I heard this laugh. High-pitched, ending with this little catch in her throat that almost sounds like a hiccup. I'd heard that laugh 1,000 times in our kitchen at parties on lazy Sunday mornings. I looked up and my stomach just dropped. You know that feeling when you miss a step going downstairs? That split second of free fall. It was like that, except it didn't stop. 3 tables away, at a cozy two-top near the window with candles flickering between them, was my wife. She was wearing this dark green dress I'd never seen before, expensive looking, the kind she usually saved for special occasions. Her hair was done up in that complicated twist she usually only bothered with for weddings, makeup perfect, laughing in that way she used to laugh with me when we first started dating. And across from her sat some guy I'd never seen in my life. Mid-30s, maybe a bit younger than me, wearing a crisp white shirt and a navy blazer, looking like every generic sales consultant you've ever met. Good haircut, confident posture, the kind of guy who probably calls himself a growth strategist or some bullshit. They had a bottle of red wine between them, not cheap wine either. I could see the fancy label even from where I sat. Both glasses were half empty. As I watched, frozen in my seat, Leela reached across the table and touched his wrist while she laughed at something he said. Her fingers lingered there. He leaned in closer, said something I couldn't hear, and she tilted her face up. And they kissed. Not a peck. Not an accidental brush. Not a friendly European double-cheek thing. A real kiss, deep and intimate, the kind you give someone you're sleeping with. The kind she used to give me. Her hand moved from his wrist to his chest. I sat there frozen for maybe 10 seconds, maybe 30. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat, in my fingers, everywhere. Then something cold and clear washed over me. It's the same thing that happens in the ER when everything goes to hell, when you've got 3 critical patients coming in from a car accident and everyone's screaming and there's blood everywhere. You either freeze or you go into this mode where everything slows down and you just act. You become efficient, clinical. I didn't want to make a scene. I didn't want to walk over there and flip the table or start yelling while every other diner watched. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me lose it, of giving her something to use later, some story about how I was crazy or violent. I pulled out my phone, switched to camera mode and took a photo. The angle was perfect. You could see both their faces clearly, his profile as he leaned in, her face tilted up toward him, her hand on his chest, the intimate little bubble they'd created. There was no mistaking what was happening. This wasn't two colleagues at a business dinner. This was two people who were sleeping together. Then I opened our text thread. The last message was from this morning, her sending me a heart emoji with "Have a good shift." I typed, "Hope you're having a nice dinner with Mom," and I attached the photo. My thumb hovered over the send button for maybe 3 seconds. Some part of my brain was screaming that this was it, that once I sent this there was no going back, no pretending I hadn't seen what I'd seen. But really there was no going back anyway, was there? The marriage was already over. I just hadn't known it until 10 minutes ago. I hit send. From where I sat, I watched her phone light up on the table beside her wine glass. She picked it up casually, probably expecting some sweet message from her clueless husband. I saw the exact moment she opened it. The phone literally fell out of her hand and clattered onto the table loud enough that several nearby tables turned to look. Her face went completely white, and I mean white, like someone had drained all the blood right out of her. Her mouth opened but nothing came out. Her eyes darted around the restaurant frantically, searching, until they found me sitting there in my corner, in my wrinkled scrubs because I'd come straight from a consultation meeting. Our eyes met across those 3 tables, across 6 years of marriage, across 9 years of being together. I stood up slowly, left 2 20s on the table for my water and for the server who'd done nothing wrong, and walked out. I didn't rush. I didn't slam my chair back. I just walked past the hostess stand through the door. Behind me I heard her voice, "Roddy, wait," but I didn't stop. I texted Dr. Katz from my car, "Family emergency, can't make dinner, sorry." Then I drove. I didn't go home. I couldn't go home. I just drove around Minneapolis for almost 2 hours, circling aimlessly through neighborhoods I'd never been to. My mind felt completely blank, like someone had scooped out my insides and left a shell that knew how to drive. Eventually, I found myself near the hospital. There's a cheap motel a few blocks away where families sometimes stay when they have someone in the ICU. I checked in, paid cash, and sat on the bed that smelled like old cigarette smoke and industrial cleaner. Then I turned off my phone. The next morning I turned it back on. 63 missed calls. A wall of text messages that I had to scroll through for a full minute. "It's not what you think. That was just a colleague, we were discussing a project. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I'm freaking out, please talk to me. You can't just abandon your wife like this." And then, buried in there, the message that told me everything I needed to know. "If you were home more often instead of always at that damn hospital, maybe I wouldn't have been so lonely." I read that last one 3 times. She was already trying to make this my fault. I called a coworker who'd gone through a divorce last year and asked for his lawyer's number. "I have a consultation Monday morning. I don't know what I'm going to do about our apartment, our finances, any of it. All I know is that I sat 3 tables away and watched my wife of 6 years kiss another man while she told me she was having dinner with her mother. I thought I knew her. I thought I could trust her. I was wrong about everything." Update 1. Posted 5 days later. First, thanks to everyone who reached out. The support from internet strangers has honestly kept me sane this week. I need to update you on what's happened, and it's been a lot. So that Friday, while Leela was supposedly at her design studio, I went back to our apartment. Our condo is actually only in my name. I bought it 2 years before we got married with savings and a small inheritance from my grandmother. I didn't think about that fact much during our marriage, but my lawyer confirmed it matters. I called a locksmith and had every lock changed. That evening, Leela showed up. I watched through the door's peephole as she tried her key, then tried it again, then started knocking. The knocking turned into pounding. Then I heard her crying in the hallway. "Roddy, please, you can't do this to me. I'm your wife. It was just one dinner. Just one mistake. What kind of person are you turning into?" I sent her one text. My lawyer will contact you. Don't come here again. This isn't your house anymore. She kept calling. I didn't answer. Monday, I met with the lawyer. The condo situation is actually pretty straightforward since I owned it before marriage. During our marriage, we did renovate the kitchen and living room using money from our joint account, so she might have a claim to some of the increased equity, but it won't be huge. The 401k and retirement stuff from during the marriage gets split according to state law, which sucks, but whatever. I don't want to fight over money. I just want out clean and fast. But here's where it gets interesting. I went through Leela's Instagram. She posts a lot about networking events and team dinners and collaborating with other design professionals. In the background of several photos over the past 6 months, there's this one guy who keeps showing up. She'd even tagged him once in a story. I looked him up on LinkedIn. Grant Barton, account executive at some office equipment company. Then I checked his Facebook. Wedding photos from 4 years ago. Photos of 2 little kids, ages 2 and 4. His wife's name is Marissa. I stared at those photos of his kids for a long time. They looked happy. Birthday parties, trips to the zoo, normal family stuff. So I created a new email address, completely anonymous, and I sent Marissa a message. I attached the photo from the restaurant. I wrote, "You should ask your husband where he was Thursday night around 7:30 p.m. This was taken at restaurant name downtown. I didn't expect to hear back. I figured she'd either ignore it as spam or confront him privately. But a week later, I got a response from a different email address. "Thank you for sending this." I confronted Grant. He denied it at first, but I checked his location history and went through his messages. The affair has been going on for almost a year. I've filed for divorce. "I'm sorry about your wife. We both married the wrong people." The next day, I got a flurry of messages from Leela. Grant had apparently been served by his wife, and faced with losing his kids and his house, he cut off all contact with Leela to try to save his family. Leela's messages to me got more desperate. "Grant was nothing. You are the one I chose. You're my husband. Please don't throw away 9 years over one mistake. I'll go to therapy. We can work on this. You're being cruel." I didn't respond to any of them. What's wild is that I don't even feel angry anymore. I did at first that night driving around. I was furious, but now I just feel empty. Like I've been living in a house I thought was solid, and I looked up one day and realized the whole foundation was rotted through. The house was never real, neither was the marriage. My lawyer sent her lawyer the initial divorce papers yesterday. Now we wait for her response. I've started seeing the hospital therapist. Turns out I need to process this stuff before it starts affecting my work. I can't zone out during a trauma case because I'm thinking about my cheating wife. Update 2, posted 3 weeks later. I need to tell you about the past few weeks because several of you predicted exactly what would happen, and you were right. First, the unexpected twist. Leela's mom called me. I almost didn't answer. I figured she'd be calling to defend her daughter, to tell me I was overreacting, to try to pressure me into working it out. But her voice on the phone was quiet, hesitant. "Roddy, I just want to hear from you what really happened that night." So I told her. The restaurant, the photo, the kiss, the fact that Leela had told me she was having dinner with her. There was a long silence. Then, I was home alone that night. She texted me she was busy with a client project and couldn't come over. Her mom had been lied to the same way I had. She wasn't part of any scheme. She'd been used as an alibi without even knowing it. "I'm sorry this happened to you," she said quietly. I can't defend what she did. I thanked her and we hung up. Later, I found out that she'd confronted Leela and they'd had a massive fight. Even her own mother was disappointed in her. But here's where Leela went from desperate to vicious. She hired an aggressive lawyer who immediately filed a motion claiming I was a workaholic who neglected his wife and that I had anger issues. No evidence, just claims. She requested temporary spousal support, arguing she'd been financially dependent on me. She hadn't. She had her own business income. It just wasn't great. Then someone filed an anonymous complaint with my hospital's HR department claiming I had inappropriate behavior with female coworkers. HR took it seriously, interviewed my entire department, pulled camera footage, checked schedules. Nothing matched the claims. They concluded it was a false complaint and closed the investigation. But for 2 weeks, I was under scrutiny at my job, which was humiliating. A few days after that, 2 police officers showed up at my door. Leila had filed a report claiming I was threatening and stalking her. I pulled up my door camera footage, showed them the logs of her showing up at my place repeatedly while I hadn't contacted her at all. Showed them the text message where I told her my lawyer would contact her. Showed them that she'd been the one trying to reach me, not the other way around. The officers looked tired. "We get a lot of these during divorces," one of them said. "Just keep documenting everything. You might want to consider a restraining order if she doesn't stop." My lawyer was furious. "She's trying to create a narrative," he explained. "Make you look like the bad guy so she can leverage a better settlement." But then we got lucky. During discovery, my lawyer subpoenaed her text messages and emails, and buried in her conversation with Grant, we found gold. Leila to Grant, "If I can get half his 401k and force him to sell the condo, we could buy a townhouse together." Grant to Leila, "He doesn't suspect anything. Just a few more months." They'd been planning this. Not just an affair, but a financial strategy. She wasn't just cheating for emotional reasons or because she was lonely. She'd been actively plotting to maximize what she could take from me. My lawyer printed out the entire text chain. Last week was our first temporary hearing for spousal support and asset protection. Leila showed up in a conservative dress looking like she was going to church, her lawyer by her side. Her lawyer went first, painting this picture of a neglected wife who'd made one mistake after years of emotional abandonment. Leila cried on cue, talking about how lonely she'd been, how Grant had just been a friend who understood her. Then my lawyer stood up. He projected the restaurant photo on a screen. Then he pulled up the text message thread between Leila and Grant, particularly the parts about splitting my 401k and selling my condo. Then he showed the HR investigation results, false complaint dismissed. Then the police report, unsubstantiated, her showing up at my place, not the reverse. The judge, a woman in her 60s who'd probably seen every divorce trick in the book, looked at Leila for a long moment. "Ms. Lawrence, you've testified that you were lonely and that this was an emotional mistake. But these messages show you actively plan to financially exploit your husband while conducting a systematic affair. This court is not a theater for continued performance." The request for temporary spousal support was denied. The judge ordered all assets frozen in place until the final hearing. My lawyer shook my hand outside the courtroom. Leila tried to approach me in the hallway. I walked past her and out to my car. "I don't feel victorious. I don't feel anything except tired, but at least the truth is on the record now." Edit. Someone asked if Grant ever reached out to me. No, his wife Marissa sent me one more email saying that he'd been served, that he was fighting her on custody but losing. She thanked me again for the photo. I told her I hope things worked out for her and her kids. We haven't communicated since. Final update, posted 11 months later. It's been almost a year since I posted here, and I figured I owed you all a final update since you've been with me through this whole mess. The divorce was finalized about 5.5 months after everything started. Here's how it shook out. The condo stayed mine. Because I owned it before marriage, it was legally separate property. The judge did award Leila a small reimbursement for the renovations we did together, about $12,000, which came from our joint account anyway. Fair enough. The 401k and retirement accounts got split 50-50 for the portion accumulated during the marriage. That hurt. I lost about $65,000 total, but no long-term alimony, just 6 months of minimal support while she got back on her feet, which honestly I didn't fight. I wanted this over with. No kids meant no custody battles. Clean break. I heard through mutual acquaintances what happened to the others. Grant got destroyed in his divorce. Marissa got primary custody of the kids and most of their assets. His company apparently found out about the drama. Someone filed an anonymous complaint about him using work time for personal affairs, and they let him go. Last I heard, he's living with his parents and working at a different company for way less money. He blocked Leila completely once his divorce proceedings started. Leela tried to reach out to him after our divorce was final. He never responded. She'd lost her husband and her affair partner in the span of 6 months. She moved back in with her mom for a while, then got a small studio apartment. Her interior design business took a hit. Some of her old clients heard about the affair and dropped her. Turns out a lot of her networking was with other married people who didn't want the drama. She's doing smaller projects now, mostly online, making a lot less than she used to. Her relationship with her mom is strained. From what I heard, her mom felt deeply betrayed too, not just because Leela cheated, but because Leela had weaponized their relationship, turned her mother into an unwitting accomplice in the affair. Every time Leela said, "I'm having dinner with Mom," she was using her mother's love as a shield for her betrayal. That's a different kind of violation, and apparently her mom couldn't forgive it easily. I stayed in therapy. My therapist helped me understand that what happened wasn't about me not being enough. It was about Leela's choices, her character, her inability to be honest. Some people just don't value what they have until it's gone, and even then, they still don't get it. About 3 months ago, my buddy from the hospital set me up with his girlfriend's coworker. Her name's Rachel. She's a middle school science teacher. On our first date, I told her up front that I was recently divorced and still working through some trust issues. She said, "I appreciate the honesty. Take your time." She actually means it. She's not bothered by my weird schedule, pays her own way, has her own full life. When I eventually told her the full story over coffee one morning, she just looked at me and said, "You didn't destroy your marriage. You just refused to keep living in a fake one." That hit me hard because it's true. I spent years trying to make something work that was built on lies I didn't even know existed. Someone in my first post asked if I regretted taking the photo instead of confronting her. No, that photo was the best decision I made. It gave me clarity when she tried to gaslight me. It protected me when she tried to lie to lawyers and judges. It gave Marissa's kids a chance at having one honest parent. I'm not the same person I was a year ago. I'm more careful now, more guarded, but I'm also stronger. I know what I won't tolerate, I know what I deserve. Rachel and I are taking things slow, but it's good, real, built on honesty from the start. I kept the house. Leela kept the consequences, and I'm okay with that. Thank you all so much for the support over this past year. This community really helped me get through the darkest period of my life.